I'm gonna finish. La la
La la, wait till I get my money right.
Tupac told me back in the days, you know, you had to get your money right and then you go to war. So I'm going to war.
Excuse me, was you saying something? You can't tell me nothing.
Y'all finally touched the person that's not gonna take it anymore.
You can't tell me nothing.
Okay, can I finish?
Interview adjourned. Peace.
Hey there, guys. What is up? I hope you all are doing great this evening. It is your girl Kelly, and we are back with another video, guys. So happy that you've clicked on this video, and I thank you so much for that. And I just want to say, guys, if you're new here, please hit that subscribe button, and so that way you can join me on my channel on this journey that we're on together. And if you're not new here and you're already on the journey, you're in the trust tree, if you will, I thank you guys so much as well. I appreciate y'all. Every new subscriber, every commenter, anyone who interacts here with me on this channel, I just want to say thank you guys. Y'all have no idea how much it means to me. And I just, you know, y'all are the best. Y'all are the best, okay? So hit the subscribe button, guys, if you want to join on that, you know, the train of being the best. Just hit the subscribe button, and you can do it, okay? New graphic alert. Okay. Oh, so anyways, guys, I just wanted to jump in here real quick. And, you know, this video is going to be rough. It's going to be a rough one for me just because, you know, whenever I get into politics, I tend to get a little testy. Okay, it is a very big passion of mine, as you guys know. And, you know, I talk about a wide variety of things on this channel. And I guess you could say I get pretty passionate about most things I talk about. I have strong opinions, but this right here is something that really, I don't know. I'm going to try to keep my composure, okay? But just be forewarned. You know, it's gonna be a little spicy here tonight, and we're gonna do our best, okay? So that's all we can do. And did you guys see this last night though? While I was visiting my family last night, you know, we had a little early Christmas celebration, and this was on TV, so I knew it was happening. I just didn't care enough, and I didn't want to see it. But then, you know, some things happened today, and I was reading the news, and you know, I felt that I was going to have to come on here and really get into it, guys, because, you know, some shit was going on in our Congress last night. And what kind of shit are we talking about? Well, we had a foreign leader of a country that's not ours addressing our Congress, which that's not terribly, you know, that's not terribly, like, unusual. Granted, no, but the way that, like, our leaders, I guess you didn't even call them that. I wouldn't call them that. Our elected officials, our politicians, received this man, and the gesturing that they did, the posturing, the performance art, the utter ass kissing that they did, that happened last night, was just too much for me to bear, guys. So, and it was for, you know, who else? Zelensky, Ukraine, you know. So I had to come on here and just give my little take about it because, you know, we're America first on this channel. You know, I would say that, like, I would argue that, you know, I want to see our country win and do better before I see other countries do better. But, you know, that's just weird old me. So let's get right into it, guys, without further ado, because I do have quite a few things to show you. I'm going to show you portions of his speech that he gave to the Congress. Probably not a lot of it, because I literally might have, you know, a stroke or something, or a brain aneurysm if I did that. So I'm going to keep my blood pressure down and just show you guys as much as I can take. But we're going to get into a few things, and I want to just remind you guys of a few things. But before we do any of that, I saw this great broadcast that was from, like, the 60s, okay? So I wanted to show you guys this, and I just want to say, I want to preface this by saying, you know, if you're not religious, or if you're not a type of person that does not believe in God, you know, that's fine. I am, you know, I am both religious and I believe in God. And this video that I'm going to show you, it is, I want you to have an open mind with it, basically, is what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to, like, say, like, don't watch my channel, like, don't watch my videos. I want everyone to be able to watch. I feel like that should be a thing that we should be able to have in this country, is discourse between all walks of life, all different opinions. You know, I think that's so important. So, if you might not agree with, like, the meaning, I guess, behind this message, but the message itself is really amazing and really good, and I think you can appreciate that. So just go into it with an open mind is all I will say, and I won't say any more. We'll just get right on into it, guys. So let's see. Okay, so what we have here is Paul Harvey, If I Were the Devil. Okay, so Paul Harvey was an American radio broadcaster. He originally broadcast this on April 3rd, 1965. Okay, so we watched it this weekend, and we learned about why God must be first in every area of our lives. And so this is very strong and powerful message. So I want to just play a few minutes for you guys before we get into everything.
If I were the devil, if I were the prince of darkness, I'd want to engulf the whole world in darkness. And I'd have a third of its real estate and 4/5 of its population, but I wouldn't be happy until I had seized the ripest apple on the tree, thee. So I'd set about, however necessary, to take over the United States. I'd subvert the churches first. I'd begin with a campaign of whispers. With the wisdom of the serpent, I would whisper to you as I whispered to Eve, do as you please. To the young, I would whisper that the Bible is a myth. I would convince them that man created God instead of the other way around. I would confide that what's bad is good and what's good is square. And the old I would teach to pray after me, Our Father, which art in Washington. And then I'd get organized. I'd educate authors in how to make lurid literature exciting so that anything else would appear dull and uninteresting. I'd threaten TV with dirtier movies and vice versa. I'd peddle narcotics to whom I could. I'd sell alcohol to ladies and gentlemen of distinction. I'd tranquilize the rest with pills. If I were the devil, I'd soon have families at war with themselves, churches at war with themselves, and nations at war with themselves, until each in its turn was consumed. And with promises of higher ratings, I'd have mesmerizing media fanning the flames.
Okay, guys, so the whole 3 minutes is great. It's actually an amazing broadcast that this man, I don't know, I guess he must have wrote this ahead of time, but whatever they were doing in the 60s, I don't know, they knew something back then that, like, it was almost as if they were, like, time travelers, because what they were talking about, if you find old videos like this that are always from like the 60s, like that type of era. We just watched one yesterday, or was it yesterday, or my last video about JFK, he was kind of like this, it was the same thing. It was like he was speaking of like from today, but it was back in the 60s. He was giving this speech, and I mean, it's like, it's very haunting, and it's very almost like, I don't know, it's unnerving, because it's like, what did they know back then about what was going to be transpiring now? And it's because this has been happening a long time, like the subversion of our country and the way that our politicians and people that aren't even elected in some cases, the elite, you know, like people that run the media, the people that run the institutions and all of those sorts of things have been selling out our country for a long time. And they were just able to see it back then and call it out. Whereas today we have a bunch of cowards and a bunch of people who, instead of calling these things out, they like just give standing ovations to people like Zelensky, who is laundering money through Ukraine, and like shot off missiles into Poland and killed 2 people because he's so hell-bent on fighting this war with Russia and dragging us into it, even if it means going all the way to World War III. But our elected officials give that a standing ovation instead of worrying about putting our country first and worrying about what's best for our citizens. So that's what we have going on right now. And so I just think it's important to revisit some of these sentiments. And again, I talked about this in my JFK video as well. The traditions, if we let go of all of our traditions, all of our morals, and just say, like, live and let live or whatever, we progress into this new era of like transgenderism and, just no God and all this. I mean, we are like dead man walking. And I want people to really understand that. It has nothing to do with God necessarily. I mean, for me it does. It has everything to do with God. But if you're a type of person who hasn't come around to that yet, there's still hope. And so I'm not just going to like write you off, but I'm saying like, you have to admit that like things were a certain way, We used to have better lives, and now we don't. And so we have to understand and start connecting these dots as to why this is happening, and try to make some sort of course correction to fix it. Because if not, everything that this man is talking about in this poem or whatever this is, this speech that he gave, is it's quite literally happening right now, and it doesn't lead to anything good. I promise you guys that. So let's get into right from here. This is Zelensky from the Oval Office, guys. So Biden received this little midget man into the Oval Office, and I just want to play the first minute or two of this, because just to kind of show you, the utter state of of our so-called president. And this is him showing his appreciation for the American people, and basically begging for more money. He needs more money, even though we've sent so many billions of dollars, more, than we ever sent in the war that we were in, in Afghanistan and Iraq and things like that. Just so much money have we sent to Ukraine, weapons, everything else. But here he is needing more. So I want to play this for you guys, and then we'll go into his speech. But I thought this was an interesting thing as well. And notice his attire, guys. A few people made comments about that, but, he came up in the Oval Office in the White House with a hoodie and cargo pants. So great look there, Zelensky. I'm glad you dressed up for us. Thanks a lot.
Office, let's listen in.
Get hurt.
Don't get hurt. What?
So everyone's in.
And look, wait, hold up. Look at Biden with his cue cards. Look at his ass with his this man can't go nowhere without a note. He does not know how to give a remark, a statement, a word without it being written down in bold font on a note for him. This is the utter state, guys. This is the utter state of what is going on in our country. And I mean, just look at him. Just look at him. And you're going to see, he reads off of this paper. And it looks thick. It looks like a thickum little document here. I don't know what is going on. But, do you see Zelensky with prepared notes? No. And God bless him for that. At least he can speak coherently without the use of, props and cue cards. How embarrassing.
Well, Mr. President, it's good to have you back. I'm delighted you're able to make the trip to be here, and it's an honor to be by your side in the united defense against what is a brutal war being waged by Putin. 300 days. Hard to believe. 300 days been going through this, and Putin has waged a brutal assault on the Ukraine's right to exist as a nation, and the attack on innocent Ukrainian people for no reason other than intimidate. And he's escalated his assault on civilians after hitting schools, orphanages, hospitals.
But what about the assault on Poland and those 2 Polish farmers that died because Zelensky got all heavy-handed with the artillery and launched a missile and then tried to blame it on Russia? Do we remember that, guys? Or is that memory hold? Oh, okay. All right. Just making sure.
Landmarks, and he's trying to use winter as a weapon. And but the Ukrainian people continue to inspire the world. I mean that sincerely. Not just inspire us, but inspire the world with their courage and how they have chose their resilience and resolve for their future. And the American people have stood proudly with them, Democrats and Republicans, together with our allies in Europe and Japan.
Excuse me, please don't speak for me. Yeah, so, do you guys see how he's just reading everything off of this paper? How sad is that? How utterly sad is that? Have we ever seen in recent memory a president do this? No. Donald Trump was shooting from the hip. Even Obama, with his terrible ass, didn't have to read no damn note. He was a good speaker too. At least that was one thing he had going for him. Even George Bush's second grade educated ass you know, didn't have a note on deck every time he spoke. Like, this is just this is embarrassing, y'all. So, and then one thing I'm going to skip all the way to the end of this video because, like I said, it's a long video. I'm not going to play it all the way through because we still got to get to the speech and then other things too. So I'm going to skip it all the way to the end because I want you guys to see how the media, like, okay, so they have all the media in here, right? Okay, all the news cameras, like all the photographers, all the journalists, they shuffle them into this room. And then once they're both done speaking and having this little, like, you know, love fest they're having, you would think that, like, what's the point of them being in there, right? So they can just get a picture of you, get a photo op. But then whenever it's time for the remarks to be over, Biden's little thug army comes in and shuffles all of the journalists out. And so I just want you guys to see the utter state of this this scene that goes on anytime that Biden has a speaking event. This is basically what happens. So let me see if I can get to it right here, because it's really interesting to see and understand.
Thank you, press. Appreciate it.
Wow. So some freedom of press we have there, guys. Really amazing to see. You know, and if you guys remember, Donald Trump used to take any question. He would sit there and take questions till the cows came home, you know? So it's just very telling, and it's very you know, it's indicative to the direction that they would like to take us in. They don't want freedom of press. They don't want people to be able to ask questions about what they just heard. They don't want the journalists to write a story that's not directly in their control, basically. They want to be able to control the media, control the narrative, control the American people. And if you ask me, it seems a little dictatorial. It seems a little fascist, tyrannical, whatever word you want to use. But it's not good, guys. I thought we had freedom of the press. Do we not? Like, is that not a thing? No? You just want them to come in there, take your little picture, and then shut the fuck up, and they can yell their questions all they want. Nobody's listening. Nobody cares, you know. And now they have to sit in this awkwardness of the press yelling at them and knowing that they're not taking any questions. And, you know, you'll get fed the narrative that we want to feed you. So just shut up and go out, okay? So now let's get into this shrimp boat little, and this is nothing against, yeah, it is actually. I don't like you. But it's nothing against, like, Ukrainian people or even, like, I don't care about really any, you know, I have nothing against anyone from any walk of life, any background, any country. We're all people at the end of the day. And this just is not our fight, guys. Like, the Ukraine war with Russia is not our fight. We have enough going on in this country. Okay? Our Congress right now is trying to pass a $1.7 trillion omnibus spending bill, which is going to, like, it's going to cripple the incoming Republican House. And it's just a low-down, dirty move that we have, these fake-ass, soft Republicans who don't even want to act like they're trying to oppose the regime that is in place right now. And it's really disgusting. And I don't mean to get all technical and get all, like, crazy political right now, but it's just, it makes me so mad because it's like most people don't pay attention to this kind of thing. And it's for a good reason because probably you don't want to be angry like me, but I'm not like this all the time. It's just when I start to talk about it, that's when I get angry. It's like, geez, man, like, what are we doing? And why aren't our leaders looking out for us? Why? I mean, that's what we elect them to do, right? But no, it's all about lining their own pocketbooks. So let's get into this little midget's speech. And like I said, I'm only going to play probably a minute or two because I might go slap the fuck off if I play any more than that. And I apologize for the language. So let's hear, I guess, what he has to say, okay?
Present in this chamber and spread across the country, dear journalists.
I'm sorry, what is that voice? That's number one. What is that voice? Like, How long have you been smoking, sir? Your whole entire life, or just like most of it? I don't. 'Cause let me know.
Great honor for me to be at the U.S. Congress and speak to you and all Americans. Against all odds and doom and gloom scenarios, Ukraine didn't fall.
Yet. Sorry.
Ukraine is alive and kicking.
Yeah, you're kicking us.
Thank you. And it gives me good reason to share with you our first joint victory. We defeated Russia in the battle for minds of the world.
What?
We have no fear, nor should anyone in the world have it. Ukraine.
So what he just said there was they beat Russia in the minds for the world, or so you're trying to tell me that you had a metaphorical defeat over Russia? Is that what you're trying to tell me while you're losing the land battle, sir? Yeah, I wouldn't be bragging about that. And you didn't really you didn't really win that war because hello, here I am, and there's other people that agree with me also. And it's not that we're pulling for Russia or that we want Russia to win. We don't care. We don't care. People like me, I can only speak for myself. I don't care. I don't want to see our country involved in this shit. And then not only that, do people not understand that there's other wars going on all over the world? Like there's wars going on in Africa, there's wars going on in Asia, there's other things going on, but no one cares about that because it's not, happening in Europe and like in a Western civilization. So no one cares about what's going on and people killing each other in Africa because that's a third world continent and a third world country. So, we can't be bothered with things like that. But this war is so important and this war is so, existential to us, like remaining the United States of America, that we have to give Ukraine billions and billions of dollars. Y'all, please tell me this makes sense to y'all because it doesn't make any sense to me. And maybe I'm crazy, but I don't think so.
Ukrainians gained this victory, and it gives us courage, which inspires the entire world.
Again, please don't speak for me.
Americans gained this victory, and that's why you have succeeded in uniting the global community to protect freedom and international law. Europeans gained this victory, and that's why Europe is now stronger and more independent than ever. The Russian tyranny has lost control over us. And it will never influence our minds again. Yet, we have to do whatever it takes to ensure that countries of the global south also gain such victory. I know one more, I think, very important thing. The Russians will stand a chance to be free only when they defeat the Kremlin in their minds.
People? What about the Ukrainian people? When will they get to be free? Because last I heard, you were shutting down dissent and shutting down churches and people who don't agree with you. So let's try to keep our focus. Okay, let's try to make our own beds. Let's try to not point fingers when we need to do our own work on ourselves. And let's ask you that question: when are your people going to be free? And we could even say here in America, when are we going to be free? We used to be free. We had at least more of a grasp on freedom at one point. We're rapidly losing that, but let's not point fingers at Russia, okay? When, you got your own dirty dealings, sir. Let's just not forget it, okay? Let's not do that.
Yet, the battle continues, and we have to defeat the Kremlin on the battlefield. Yes,
Yeah.
this battle is not only for the territory, for this or another part of Europe. The battle is not only for life, freedom, and security of Ukrainians or any other nation which Russia attempts to conquer. This struggle will define in what world our children and grandchildren
Checking her watch.
will live, and then
Did y'all see Nancy Pelosi checking her watch? Same girl. Wait, let's rewind that. Watch her little stupid ass.
Russia attempts to conquer. This struggle will define in what world our children and grandchildren
She's like, it's been 5 minutes since my last drink. When is this gonna be over? I need another one. Okay, so guys, I think I'm gonna stop it right there, actually, because Nancy, she's setting the vibe. She's like, let's wrap this up. Okay, so guys, I'm sure there's a lot more we can get into, but like I said, this video would probably be 2 hours long, and it would just be me going off on a rant about this stupid little man he's a midget. Like, what? How can a world leader be so short? I don't understand it. But yeah, he continues to do this little address to our Congress, and it's embarrassing. All of our mostly all of our elected officials, they do their little dance where they stand, they clap, they stand, they clap, they're just wringing their hands at how wonderful this man is. Yay, war! You're fighting Russia, and we're helping you. We love it. We love to see it. It's just a real shit show, guys. It's a real just embarrassment. But what's even more embarrassing than that was what happened at the end of this speech, guys. And I'm going to show you this. And I'm going to warn you that, this got me real heated, okay? And this is a very symbolic of how weak our nation is and how weak these people who are supposedly in power right now, they were supposedly duly elected. We won't get into that. How they make us look and how this looks not only to the American people, but to other nations. Okay, so let's get into that. All right, let me start this little stupid video over, okay? And I want you guys to look at the symbolism of this, okay? Nancy Pelosi's about to wet her fucking pants over this. Look at that! Are they about to French kiss? What was that even? And then look, that was the best part. Like, Nancy almost stuck her tongue down his throat, and then Kamala goes to, shake his hand, and all he does is, hand her the other end of the flag. He didn't even shake her hand. What? And then we give him our flag all folded up, which granted, yes, this is presented in, in a respectable way, but here he is, got his flag draped across our nation's Congress. Okay, guys? And our president is nowhere to be found up there. Our quote-unquote president, our former vice president. So we have a foreign world leader with his flag more visible than our flag. And then our Speaker of the House, the drunk Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, practically falling over herself to try to make out with this man on national TV. I mean, how embarrassing is this?
I can hold.
This is just disrespectful, honestly.
We'll turn around.
Yes.
Wow.
There we go.
I'm surprised it didn't drop. Wow. Great. Real great. Yeah. So just just the utter symbolism of that, guys, is truly a sight to behold. Their flag, the Ukrainian flag, which wasn't even might I remind you, Ukraine didn't used to be a country. It used to be part of the Soviet Union. Just a little history lesson there. So up until very recently, within the past, century or so maybe, then it became a country. I just want to throw that out there. Anyways, so yeah, here's the utter state of our government, guys. We have two women, first of all, up here. Weak, off the bat, weak, okay? And it's not even strong women. These are embarrassing women, okay? And then we have a foreign leader with his stupid flag, his boring flag, only two colors, wow, great. And they've scrabbled all over it. And now they're going to sit here and prop this up here And we're supposed to like just fawn over this and think this is so great. No, I don't. So guys, before we get into some of the reactions from certain people, and I just wanted to kind of go over like the history of like why are people, like I said, people were calling this like historic. They were calling it like, oh, this this historic moment in time that, Zelensky's coming to speak in front of the Congress, and this is great, and everyone should feel a certain way about this, and you should write this down in your diary and your history books. So I just want to kind of go over like the history of like what is the big deal, and is it a big deal? So before I get into that though, guys, I just want to remind everyone here, we also have a history with Ukraine, and more specifically, our former vice president has a long history with Ukraine, and so does his crackhead son. So I just wanted to remind everyone, guys, why this is not only problematic. Had it been any other president in office, for us to be like intervening in a war that has nothing to do with us, but it's especially problematic considering the amount of money that we are sending to Ukraine, or should I say laundering through Ukraine. And not to mention the FTX scandal. Did everyone forget about that also? How Sam Bankman-Fried was, basically selling his little crypto coins to Ukraine, and then the money was somehow making its way back to Democrat campaigns. Like, did we forget about all that? Yeah, I guess it was memory hold too. But this, I will never forget this. So as long as I'm here, you can bet that this will never get memory hold. So this is Joe Biden, okay? Talking and bragging about how he basically bribed a foreign government. The same thing that they accused Trump of doing. The same thing that Trump was impeached for the first time. Here's Biden doing exactly that. Let's just see it, guys, for ourselves.
The commitment from Poroshenko, they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting $1 billion. I said, you're not getting $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not.
And do y'all see the what is this called? The Chiron or whatever report. Biden made Ukraine fire top prosecutor investigating son's firm. That would be Hunter Crackhead Biden.
Fired. You're not getting the money. Oh, son of a got fired. And they put in place someone who was solid at the time.
Well, it just so happens that the general prosecutor was investigating an energy firm in which Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, was heavily invested. Burisma Holdings is an energy corporation in Ukraine, and Hunter Biden, the son of the former vice president, has made a rather handsome profit from it, especially in the aftermath of the 2014 events in Ukraine in which pro-EU forces took power. That prosecutor was looking into 3 different instances of foul play from Hunter's cash cow. However, all it took was a phone call from Papa Joe, and that prosecutor was out.
We had plans that included interrogations and other crime investigation procedures into all members of the executive board, including Hunter Biden.
Members of the board obtained funds as well as another US-based legal entity, Rosemont Seneca Partners, LLC, for consulting services.
One might argue that perhaps Joe Biden had no idea about his son's financial interests. They say he's the vice president. Perhaps he was too busy running the country to pay attention to his son's finances. However, if he watched any American media, he couldn't have missed it.
Oh, God. That's just that is laughable. That is funny. And this was back whenever I don't recall this. I didn't really follow politics at this time. Were the media talking about it back then? Because I don't recall that at all. And so isn't this just so interesting, guys? Joe Biden is up here bragging, I might add, to withholding foreign aid from a country if they don't fire their attorney general, because the attorney general was going to look into his son, his corrupt, crack-smoking son. I mean, does that give anyone else pause? Does that make you go, I'm sorry, what? Because it made, it's pretty big deal, guys. It's pretty major big deal. But apparently no one seems to care anymore about these types of things. We're just going to go with the flow until our country is gone, basically, I guess. I don't know. I have no idea what's going on, guys. Don't ask me, So now I want to get into some tweets, guys. I'm going to show you the incorrect take and then the correct take, obviously, on Twitter. And I just want to point this out that, like, obviously, let's consider the source, okay? But this Twitter thread I saw from Ben Stiller, it just kind of like irked my soul. I like Ben Stiller as an actor, but I'm so tired of people coming on here and shilling for Ukraine in a way that, like, you would never see these people talking this way about our country, So, like, can we have some encouraging words about this country, the country that you're from, that you live in, that you, should be patriotic towards? Instead, we have people up here, and Mitch McConnell did the same thing. He tried to say that the number one priority for Republicans is Ukraine. Are you high? Are you smoking crack with Hunter Biden? Because it has to be. I mean, how out of touch are these people? It blows my mind. And it's because they're not having to deal with inflation. They're not having to deal with the crime in all of the cities. They're not having to deal with, all of the horrible things that most Americans are facing right now. The gas prices out of control, everything. So all they can do is sit up in their ivory towers and fucking tweet about how the number one priority for Republicans is Ukraine. When we have a border that is out of control, people are pouring across it, even though the winter is supposed to be like the slow time of year, and it's been busier than ever of illegals crossing into the. I mean, it's just, y'all. I can't. Okay, so let's get into the thread. Okay, so first of all, he retweeted this. This is the picture that we all want to remember, isn't it? Isn't this just great? Him up here looking like a dictator of, he's conquered America, and we're about to hang this flag up and get rid of this one, and, America's about to go to hell. And Eric Swalwell tweets iconic, and Ben Stiller retweets it. Okay, you know what? Go fuck a Chinese spy, Eric Swalwell. I'm sorry again for the language. Okay, so here's the thread. All right. Watching Ukrainian President Zelensky make a plea for help here in the U.S. with POTUS and speaking to Congress, I'm struck by a lot of feelings. So a couple of posts here that might sound serious and without humor, but this situation is what? Don't leave me on a cliffhanger. My goodness. Okay, is there more or what? But this situation is ... Go on. I saw the destruction and talked to those civilizations affected directly by this unprovoked war. If you could see the effects of this unjust aggression in person, the scale of the destruction and heartbreak helping the Ukrainian people at this time would not be a question. Okay, we have so much to deal with at home, but this is an existential and humanitarian crisis that has implications beyond Ukraine. I hope we can all stand together with those struggling for their lives and freedom right now. These are people like you and I, families with kids, who will be struggling all winter to stay alive because their power and fuel will be targeted purely to make them suffer. I think the U.S. should do all we can to help them. Okay, that's it. Happy holidays. So Ben, I have a suggestion for you. Why don't you write over a check for your fortune and your wealth, and write it on over to Ukraine, and then that way that'll help some. It might buy them like one missile, and then they'll end up like putting the rest in their pocket and laundering it, back to a dirty politician. So. But yeah, you first, Ben Stiller, you first, okay? So we have, meanwhile, homeless veterans. We have a homeless population that is out of control in this country. We have a border that's completely open, and illegal immigrants who are flooding our country and draining our resources. We have regular families, middle-class families, that are having their wealth and their savings depleted due to inflation that has no ending in sight. And then we have people like Ben Stiller, who's tweeting from his mansion about how we need to give more. Well, sir, you first, okay? Please, after you. You give up your money and you do without, because we don't want to see the Ukrainian citizens, struggling in the winter. It's the last thing we want to see. But we don't give a damn about our people struggling here in this country. We don't give a damn about the people who, I'm sure you're living in LA, sir. I'm sure you're from LA or California. Why don't you go help the homeless population that's out there? Why don't you go take a look at LA, which looks worse than a third world country, and figure out what's going on there and help, let's start at home. How about that? But it's just this virtue signaling bullshit that I cannot stand. That just really drives me crazy. And people don't want to talk about it, So, I'll hear from you, Ben Stiller, when you give up every dime you have to the Ukraine, okay? But until then, I need you to sit down, please, and, shut the fuck up, with all due respect. So this is actually the correct take, okay, that we should be having, and this is from Scott Moorfield, and it says as follows: I don't give a damn about Vladimir Zelensky or which particular international criminal cartel rules in Ukraine, especially not when my own country is being purposefully collapsed by the very same people funneling billions to this clown and his cronies. They can all go to hell. And I could not agree more. Brava, Scott Moorfield. Love it for you. And then the next tweet's pretty good too. His whole timeline's great. I wonder if anyone will ask Zelensky for his tax returns. Bet there would be some wild stuff on there. And I would tend to say that you're right, And then he retweeted this, okay? This is also a great take. I'm just going to go up his timeline and just read it to you guys because he did, he was on the money. So this man said, Pedro L. Gonzalez, I went from being neutral and just wanting Americans to stay out of the war to now being against Ukraine. People think the January 6th insurrection was bad. A foreign flag is being flown inside the U.S. Capitol while a foreign leader makes demands of the American public on American soil. Yeah, we hate to see that, don't we? We hate to see that. So, it's just the utter state, guys. The utter state. What is this? Okay, imagine what kind of America-hating piece of garbage you'd have to be to vote for a bill that explicitly prohibits border security in the U.S. while funding it in other countries. Any Republican who voted for this monstrosity should be primaried in 2024. 100% agree again, sir. You're right on the money. And this was another good one, Matt Walsh, and then he retweeted it. So have we all just decided to move on from the fact that Ukraine fired, a missile into Poland and then claimed it was an attack by Russia in order to pull Western countries into a world war? People, I guess we are going to just forget that. We're not going to mention that, but this is the last thing I'll look at on this man's timeline, and then I think it's out of time, but Rand Paul, who is very, he makes some great points every now and then. I like Rand Paul a lot. As a senator, I don't think he's not like my top pick for a lot of things, but every now and then he'll come in hot with a great take. And this was one of those times. So let's watch this little 1-minute clip because it was pretty golden. Like, let me
rails.
Do we have policies? Do we have guardrails? Do we have standards?
But here's the problem. We can't even agree. We can't even agree what disinformation is. You can't even agree that it was disinformation, that the Russians fed information to the Steele dossier. If you can't agree to that, how are we ever going to come to an agreement on what is disinformation so you can police it on social media? I think you've got no idea what disinformation is, and I don't think the government's capable of it. Do you know who the greatest propagator of disinformation in the history of the world is? The U.S. government. Yes. Are you familiar with McNamara, the Pentagon Papers? Are you familiar with George W. Bush and the weapons of mass destruction? Oh my God! Are you familiar with Iran-Contra? I mean, think of all the debates and disputes we've had over the last 50 years in our country. We work them out by debating them. We don't work them out by the government being the arbiter. I don't want you guardrails. I want you to have nothing to do with speech. You think we can't determine, speech by traffickers is disinformation? You think the American people are so stupid they need you to tell them what the truth is? You can't even admit what the truth is with the Steele dossier. I don't trust government to figure out what the truth is. Government is largely disseminating disinformation.
He read him for filth. Oh my God. Put him to bed, guys. He is done for the night, okay? Senator Mayorkas, just go away after that. You just need to go cry in the car about it, okay? That's all you need to do. And we don't want to hear anything more. So, there's another little keck moment that I want to get into before I just get into a brief history of like what it is, with these foreign leaders coming into our Congress and feeling the need to speak to us about whatever it is that they got going on. I want to get into this moment. This was beautiful as well. Props to Matt Gaetz and Lauren Boebert, okay, for refusing to join in standing ovation for Zelensky after his rousing, I guess that's their word, speech, and instead demand investigation into $50 billion in aid already sent to help Ukraine. So let's just watch that, guys, because that's beautiful. I love that for them. Alrighty, wait, can we go back, please? Can we just take it right on back? I love it. They're not with the shit.
I believe there should be no taboos between us.
So yeah, they're not with the bullshit, guys. I am with them. Like why are we standing and applauding like a bunch of sheep? For this man who has nothing to do with us and our the betterment of our country. So I love it. I really do. And so I want to also show you guys this graphic, and then we'll get into their statements, Lauren Boebert and Matt Gaetz. And those are quick as well. But, okay, so aid sent to Ukraine by the United States. And this is in a short period of time of 11 months, guys. Okay, we have sent $50 billion in 11 months. Let that sink in, guys. Let that sink in, okay? $50 billion is the military budget for Russia. That's their budget. And so we're spending as much money to fund a war in Ukraine as Russia spends for their own military. So make it make sense. And then we want to send even more? I'm sorry. Who are these people? Who are these people? So this is the breakdown, guys. Read it if you want. I don't really care because $1 is too much to have sent to them at this point. So let's get into their comments about why they decided to do not stand and do the theater that everyone else is doing. And I applaud them for that. Honestly, I would love to see it.
Hey everyone, I just finished attending the address by President Zelensky, and we're going to have votes here at the Capitol for the next 4 hours or so. Here's what was clear from tonight. The people of Ukraine are suffering. The war is deadly and horrific, and the carnage has not stopped. Sadly, what I didn't hear tonight was a clear explanation of where the first $50 billion we sent to support their efforts went. Until Congress receives a full audit on where our money has already gone, I will not support sending additional money to this war. President Zelensky is working to protect his country, his border, and his people. I get it. I really just wish our commander-in-chief would do the same right here at home and secure our southern border and protect our people.
Yes, girl. I agree. Love to see that. So Matt Gaetz came out with a statement as well. President Zelensky should be commended for putting his country first, but American politicians who indulge his requests are unwilling to do the same for ours, hemorrhaging billions of dollars of taxpayer money for Ukraine while our country...
America, Joe Biden needs to...
Excuse me, ma'am. You had your turn. Thank you. Hemorrhaging billions of taxpayer dollars for Ukraine while our country is in crisis is the definition of America last. He did not change my stance on suspending aid for Ukraine and investigating fraud and transfers already made. So props to them, guys. I'm glad they're holding the line for people who care about this country before caring about, wars in Ukraine and things like that, when there's other wars going on that we don't say a word about. It's giving me hypocrite. So, in case you guys didn't know, there have been other foreign leaders, because I looked this up. This is something I genuinely became curious on, because I was like, well, what is the deal? I've seen, obviously, other people come and speak before our Congress. I know that that's not, the first time this has happened, but why were they making this particular instance to be such a huge deal? And apparently, I didn't really find a reason, but I wanted to show you guys. There has been other instances of this happening, and I just wanted to kind of point out and see if we see any patterns here, okay? So, so we've had, French dignitaries, obviously. We've had, monarchies. We've had 12 women. I don't know what that's about. Why'd you point that out, okay? Anyways... France, Great Britain, Winston Churchill, and Benjamin Netanyahu. But we gonna call him Netan. He's gotten to speak the most, okay? He's tied with Winston Churchill, but Winston Churchill is dead, so, you know, Netan, he's still got time, you know? He's still got time. So, yeah, isn't that funny, guys? So these are all the different dates, you know, that, like, different world leaders have come, spoken. You know, we've had Vietnam, Ethiopia, Philippines, Egypt, Canada, United Kingdoms, just all different kinds, you know. And, excuse me, guys. Now we can add little shrimp Vladimir Zelensky to that list. And so apparently it's more, it's done like fairly often, but I guess I'm still failing to understand why, you know, because I just don't get it, you know, I just don't get it. So, let's see, this was like a list of like 8 notable people that have come, and this was the most telling for me. Okay, so we have Pope Francis, okay, who came in 2015. We have Netan in 2015, okay. All right, and of course he's representing Israel. And then we have another Israeli prime minister, okay. And then the King of Jordan came together, you know, and did a little handshake in 1994. And then we had Nelson Mandela, okay, representing South Africa in 1990. We had this lady here representing this one was not funny. Prime Minister of Pakistan, okay? So she was the first and only woman to ever lead an Islamic state, guys. So, wow, good for her, you know? Okay. And so what happened to her? What's her story? So, after serving 2 non-consecutive terms, she was exiled to Dubai in 1999. She returned to Pakistan in 2007 to run for office again and was assassinated. So, yikes. Ooh. Yikes. R.I.P. to her. So then we had Margaret Thatcher come in 1985, of course, of Great Britain. And then we had the Egyptian president back in the day of 1978. And then to top it off, we had the Shah, okay, of Iran. So, wow, great history there. And they've never been back. Iran, you know, they have not been invited back. So, we hate to see it. And so, guys, what do y'all think about all of this as a whole, you know, as a collective whole? I think it's horrible. I think it's terrible. I give it an F, you know. Boo, and no good. Every negative expression is what I give it. You know, it's giving me, I hate it. So, y'all please let me know. And am I the only one worked out about this? Because I feel like, I don't know. I had a lot of feelings, guys. None of them good. So, it's just a joke to me at this point. Like I said, we have so many problems here in our country. Why can't we take care of those first? That's really what it boils down to, guys. I've said enough in this video. I'm going on almost an hour now, 50 plus minutes. So I'm going to wrap it up. I want to know what you guys think in the comments. Please let me know, guys. Was I doing too much with what I had to say tonight? I don't think so. But maybe you think differently, and I'd love to know your opinion. So please let me know. And like the video if you liked it. Definitely, guys. What are we going to do? We're going to hit that graphic again. Hit that subscribe button, y'all. Woo! Love to see it. And, yeah, just do that, guys, because the community is growing, and I want you guys here with me to grow together and in peace. And hopefully one day we will not have war and we'll have a great America again. Wouldn't that be something? So, yeah, guys, I will see y'all until next time. Hit the subscribe button before you go. Just do it. Now. Do it. Go. Bye. All right. Love y'all. Bye.
I'm going to finish. La, la,
wait till I get my money right.
Tupac told me back in the days, you know, you had to get your money right and then you go to war. So I'm going to war.
Excuse me, was you saying something? You can't tell me nothing.
Y'all finally touched the person that's not going to take it anymore.
You can't tell me nothing.
Okay, can I finish?
Interview adjourned. Peace.